Now, if you regularly join us, then you will know that Steve will definitely enjoy our next story. In fact, I think he's been looking forward to it all week. And that is because it is about his favourite super spy, James Bond.
Yes, I do love a bit of Bond. I try not to go on about it too much because I'm worried that I bore people.
You might try,
endlessly.
Steve, but you're not successful.
Well, listen, Goldfinger, what a film that is. Celebrating 60 years since its release in 1964. Other fans, including one from Nottinghamshire, say the film's success changed the cinematic landscape at the time.
Well, Daniel Craig has now stepped down as 007, so where does the world-famous franchise go next? Well, Chris Conway reports.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Those immortal words now not just James Bond history, but cinematic history too. 60 years ago, Goldfinger exploded onto cinema screens. It was the first time the gadgets the Bond franchise would become famous for.
Eject a seat, you're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
And his trusty Aston Martin captured the imagination of cinema goers. For Bond's superfan Ciaran from Mansfield, he believes the success of the franchise is down to Goldfinger.
This film is monumental. I mean, it's got all the elements that you know, love and associate with the character that we know today. It's got the girls, it's got the gadgets, it's got the supervillain, it's got the wonderful henchman, it's got an audacious score. It's an absolutely fantastic film.
At a special Goldfinger-inspired bar containing props like Oddjob's deadly top hat and a gold bar signed by Sean Connery, we meet someone with a special connection to the film.
I've been asked 100 times, did people realise that what they were actually starting, what the future would be? And the answer to that is absolutely no, they did not.
89-year-old Norman Wanstall won an Oscar for his work on Goldfinger's unique sound effects.
I still find the whole thing unreal, really.
A film fact that Norman says still surprises Bond fans all these years on is that the voice of Goldfinger was dubbed.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may...
He was not a trained English speaker, and I've never forgotten it. How did it ever happen that someone was cast in a major part that didn't have the language? Michael Collins did the most incredible job. Bear in mind that you are seeing probably a masterpiece in revoicing. And I just feel very proud and lucky to have been involved in a franchise that probably will never be repeated. I mean, it's just stunning, really, isn't it? Where it goes from now, we're not sure.
Bond.
I met your new 007.
With Daniel Craig hanging up his tuxedo, there's uncertainty over when audiences will next see a new 007 adventure.
There's so many great directions that it could go, and I see no reason why it can't evolve just in the way that Doctor Who has evolved. And I mean, I find that really exciting. I don't want to see the same sort of James Bond film. I want to see this generation's new James Bond film.
As fans await a new 007, the future of Bond will be shaped by what has come before. Goldfinger helped set the direction, and even now, 6 decades on, it still leaves audiences shaken and not stirred. Chris Conway, ITV News.
There you go, Steve. That piece was just for you.
I have to say, Chris put all that very, very well indeed. Norman Wanstall, who won the Oscar for the sound on Goldfinger, who we heard from there, great story about him. He was trying to get the sound for a car crusher, because there's a scene where a car gets crushed. He went through the sound library, there was nothing. Tried different experiments to make the sound, couldn't do it. And then he heard some builders outside, I think using a crane or something. He's like, that is the sound. I will record it now. All the recorders were gone. He had his child's toy recorder with him. He went out and recorded the sound on that, goes on the soundtrack. That is part of an Oscar-winning soundtrack.
Wow.
There's a fact for you.
Well, there you go. We told you Steve knew everything about Bond.